If you've ever said, I just need to be more consistent and things will be good, this episode is for you because consistency is something so many of us crave. I know that I definitely have been struggling. I always say I struggle with consistency and I'm always trying to be more consistent. We know our lives would feel better, maybe more grounded. Maybe we'll feel like we're more in a flow if we're more consistent. If we could just stick to things that matter, if we just stick to being consistent, we feel like life could be better. But one thing I realize, and I think I'm not alone in this, is that we don't always realize that in our attempt to be consistent, we're actually accidentally starting to feed a deeper wound. And that is a wound that says the only way you matter is if you do things perfectly, or you only deserve to feel proud if you never mess up and you never miss a day. So this episode isn't about shaming your desire to be consistent. It's about asking, what's fueling your consistency? Is it devotion or is it perfectionism? And how can we create a rhythm in your life that supports your self-trust and not your judgment? Welcome to the Hello Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacation from the daily grind for busy women who just need a moment to pause, breathe, and woosah. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. And as I said before, I have been struggling with consistency. It's something that I have strived to do and be better at. And I want to start this conversation by saying consistency isn't a bad thing. It's a great thing. Like, in fact, for a lot of us, especially those who have struggled with burnout, self-doubt, or just always putting other people first, being consistent can feel like finally showing up for yourself. Because that's where I was working towards or striving towards, like showing up for myself. I think about the 1,000-day meditation I was doing and consistently showing up for myself. And that was important to me, being consistent for myself. And that's real for many people. It's about building those routines that nourish you. It's about healing to keep yourself and the promise you have to yourself. But sometimes, and this is a hardcore sometimes, without realizing it, that consistency stops being about self-care and it starts becoming another way to earn your worth. My example is from, again, the 1,000 days. I was so proud of myself for doing 1,000 days. Like, I didn't miss a day. And I was using Insight Timer to record. And so I made it through the 1,000 days, but I started using Insight Timer a little bit more consistently later on. So I wanted to see the number turn to 1,000. So I kept going on with my 1,000-day meditation. And then on Sunday, I missed a day. And let me tell you, a girl broke down. Like, I almost needed to call my therapist. I felt defeated. I felt ashamed. I just felt like I couldn't get up. I was so distraught from the situation. And I was just like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, I put in all this effort and I just blew it up like a bomb with one day of missing it. And mind you, there's a lot going on in my life. But yet, I still missed this one day, and I was so shamed about that. And I felt the same thing about missing a month of the podcast. Like, I haven't been podcasting for a month because people have died, other medical situations have come up, and I felt so much guilt about this being a weekly podcast, and for the last month, I've been MIA. And if you've been in one of these situations, you might be thinking, when you're really being consistent, you're like, oh my God, I'm finally getting it together. But underneath that, there's this quiet pressure. It's like, I can't mess up. What will that say about me if I miss a day? And that's when consistency stops being liberating and starts becoming heavy, even like a punishment. But I want to reiterate, consistency isn't the problem. It's how you hold it. It's when it's rooted in self-trust, it's powerful. But when it's rooted in perfectionism and needing to show up and be the should, like I should be showing up this way, I should be consistent, I should consistently drink 8 glasses of water, I should consistently exercise like 3 times a week. It's when we have that root of perfectionism that's rooted in fear of what it means if we don't follow through. That consistency becomes another way for us to abandon ourselves in the name of quote unquote doing better. So how do we get through this? Like, how do you know, like your consistency, when you're striving for consistency, how do you know if you're doing it from a place of wanting to be perfect, from a deeper wound, or are you doing it from a place of devotion and self-care? So here are 4 signs that I feel like that can help you figure out if your strive for consistency is actually perfectionism in disguise. The first thing is noticing, like, are you feeling anxious or ashamed when you miss a day? Even if you're tired or sick, that's a telltale sign that your consistency is actually perfection in a costume. Because it's not just about disappointment, it's about feeling like a failure. Like when you start feeling like a failure because you missed a day, or you didn't do something right, and because you were trying to be consistent and that disappointment just feels deep, that's a sign. Another sign that I've noticed was you care more about keeping the streak than actually connecting to the practice. Perfect example for me, I was checking the days. I was like, okay, I've done this, it was like jump roping. It was like, I've gone through 88, 889, 891. I was tracking the days, and it was more about seeing that number switch higher and higher and higher. And I was realizing I was more focused in on how many days I did than if the practice was nourishing me. And when I stepped back, when I literally forgot an extra day in this whole process of doing it, making it so Insight Timer went to 1,000, I was able to realize this practice no longer was nourishing me. I was doing it out of habit. I was doing it because I just needed to get to 1,000. So it was really focused in on checking the box. And that didn't feel good, but I wasn't paying attention. That didn't feel good. I was just so proud, like, look at me. And it was more about, look at me, I've done this, versus, hey, this is good for me and it's nourishing me for 1,000 days plus. The other thing I realized is when rest doesn't feel like an option, it feels like a weakness. Like even when your body says pause, your mind's like pushing forward, that's another sign. And the 4th sign I've always seen is you only feel proud when you're performing at 100%. And when you're not, that old negative voice, that mean girl is like, see, you can't be trusted. You let yourself down. And that's what I was feeling. Like if any of those hit, I want you to know you're not doing it wrong. You've just been carrying consistency like it's proof that you're okay, that you're worthy, when really it should really be about something about that helps you feel okay. So it really comes down to, again, that consistency isn't the problem. It's how you manage it. I mean, is it a tool of self-trust? Because that's when it becomes really powerful. So here are a couple ways that I've been working on to be consistent without feeding my need to be perfect. One way is making the process being more important than performance. Like asking myself, did I do it right, but asking myself, how did I show up today? This shift in the focus of the outcome to the presence, performing it perfectly to a practice being with yourself, is a game changer for me. So I'm not focusing on how I did it, but the fact that how it felt to be doing something. How is it nourishing me? How is this working in a way to uplift my life and other people? Another way to make sure that your consistency isn't being fed by perfection is to build in permission to pause without the punishment. Create that spaciousness in your routines, knowing that taking a break doesn't mean you failed. It means that you're listening. You're listening to your body. You're listening to your spirit. Trust grows when our nervous system learns it won't be punished for needing a moment to rest. Then it's about defining consistency as returning and not never missing. Because like real consistency is about coming back. It's not about never slipping up. It's about coming back. It's the relationship you rebuild with yourself after the disruption that creates that real trust. Like coming back to yourself, coming back to nourishment. It's also about connecting your why when you're doing things and not just checking it off. When you're connected to your why, it helps drive you in an alignment with where you want to be. Because when you're not connected to your why, you get caught up in, I'm doing it for the shoulds. I should be here. I should be that. And that's not a why. That's shoulding all over yourself. And that's putting expectations, often false expectations, on yourself. And also celebrate presence, not perfection. Maybe you keep a presence log instead of a streak tracker. Like in the day, note that, did I meet myself today? Even if it was for a breath, for a moment, or choice. And let that be your evidence of success. Like I've literally told myself, I can't use Insight Timer for some of these things because it automatically triggers me trying to be perfect. I'm not. I never will be. And this striving for perfection and realizing that I was devoted to perfection and not to my practice really hit me to the core. And when I started kind of realizing this and I had to take a moment to step back, that was the real mastery. Like, how do I show up in these practices for myself without it being the disguise of perfection in disguise? So I'm still learning. I'm still practicing this. It's not a one and done situation, but having this conversation with myself starts the conversation of, how are you using consistency? Is it a devotion, or is it being fueled from perfection and fear of failing? Well, that's all I got this week. Thank you for joining me on my own journey through this process, and I'll see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.